destruction. I exist for one purpose. To return everything back to the zero world, where there is no life and no crystal to give life. In a world of nothing, fear does not exist. This is the world that all life desires. Your fears have already deluded you. Now come, why defy your fate? Enter the zero world that you desire.
That's pretty shapy.
I have it next to my my multivitamins and my ZQL.
That's good.
Oh my God, your ZQL.
Also, guess what I ordered
Yes.
for myself? I ordered for myself
What?
a shoot, what's it called? The little handyman knife thing, the dime. I forgot.
Oh, you got a Gerber dime.
a Gerber dime? Yes.
Mm.
You sold me. You sold me.
Has it arrived yet or no?
No, it should get here tomorrow, I think. But
Yeah, it's so much better, dude. This Leatherman, I didn't want to say, but this micro is fucking garbage.
well, all I
I'm thinking
have,
about like giving it to somebody, and I'm like, who do I want to punish with this fucking thing?
all I have right now is this extremely old Swiss Army knife. Yeah, give it to me. It's probably literally 30 years old, and the knives are all extremely dull, and there's hardly any tools on it. So I was like, you know what? I need something like something new to replace this.
Yeah.
So I got a Gerber dime.
I'm a similar situation. My Swiss Army knife
It's
is
smaller
only
than
20.
that.
It's smaller than this.
Swiss Army. Oh yeah, Swiss Army knives are fucking. They're great.
Yeah.
They're just too big for me. They're too big for a keychain, because I already got a lot of shit on my keychain.
I mean, it depends. They come in different sizes. This one's pretty small. And
Yeah,
I
but the
mean,
thing's already
where's
like
my-
the size of your finger.
And I really.
Yeah.
Well, here, let me turn on my camera here.
I don't know if you can see
I had it set up for my reviews.
Yeah.
This is what
Let me see
all
if
I've
this
got right
works.
now. And I use this to open packages, and it really just, it's amazing. This knife is incredibly dull. It's really hard to open packages, even with this knife.
But you don't need it to be sharp to open a pack. You just need it to puncture. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it works. It's all right. But I'd like something new. So I'd be surprised if it's smaller than this. I mean, I guess. But
I mean, if I can get my camera going, why is it not going?
I don't know.
Because Discord. That's why. Discord's being stupid.
Ugh. Yeah, I've had that issue recently with Discord. That's really weird.
Probably has something to do
But
with
anyway.
bandwidth, too. Because it does take more bandwidth to send a video through. And we are getting a little bit of a delay from Dillard today, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was some type of bandwidth issue.
Yeah. Wait. Oh, shoot. Why did this not?
But
There
in the
we go.
meantime, welcome to the Vomitorium Weekday Show for the 14th of June, 2021. As always, I am your host, The Metal, and joining me is my co-host, Marsupial Gamer, and a regular to the show, John Dillard of Dillard Draws. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing great. Colin's having some trouble with his camera.
Very tired.
Oh, I am too.
I got up at 2:30 a.m. Started
Okay.
doing stuff and fighting with people online.
I went to sleep at
I'm gonna get my camera to
9 in
There
the
you go.
morning after like 25 hours of being awake.
Oh, wow. That is
and
small.
my hands are small. You know that I have small hands. And
Yeah.
This is the size of this thing. And
Oh, wow. Yeah. This is bigger. Considerably bigger.
yeah.
There's mine right there. Ah, it's disappearing. Anyway. Cool. Well, I got a Gerber dime. It's on the way.
There you go. That's about how big that one is. The Gerber Dime, about the same.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
okay.
So you were saying something about video games?
Oh, well, this week is E3, Electronic Entertainment Expo, where all the biggest announcements for games, at least here in the West, happens every year. Usually in Japan, they have a bigger show called the Tokyo Game Show, but a lot of Japanese companies release important information at E3 anyway. So there's a lot of games to talk about, a lot of announcements, and the most important one, I think, for the broader audience is that Halo Infinite's multiplayer mode, the standalone multiplayer, is free. Free to play. Anybody can play it if you've got Xbox or Microsoft Windows. You get it through the Microsoft Store. You don't need gold or their Game Pass or anything. You can just play it. No kill streaks. No loot boxes. No pay to win. Just classic, modernized Halo. Onslaught. You can play Slayer mode, Capture the Flag, King of the Hill. All the fun stuff people used to love playing Halo.
How am I supposed to compete with these pro gamers if I can't pay to win?
You get good.
But what if I got fat hands and I'm very slow and I'm an old man and things move on the screen really fast and I can't tell what's going on?
Oh, well, then you just accept senescence and deal with the fact that you're slowly dying.
I might have to.
Yeah.
I was really excited to play that when they came out with that new Star Wars Battlefront.
Oh, yeah?
And it ended up being just like all the other games where I have to like just constantly be eating carrots or something because my eyes just can't keep up on the screen with what's happening. I can't tell the difference between a bad guy and a rock, and because everything moves too fast. And I'm just constantly getting shot out of nowhere, and I'm falling on the ground. I don't even know where I got shot from.
No.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at those games too.
Oh, I'm great at those games.
Yeah. Check it out, John. See that?
What? What am I
It's a
checking
Cult
out?
Raven shirt.
What I'm wearing?
Oh, nice. Have you have you been getting oogled all day long by the ladies?
Well, I haven't left my house, so no. But
Unless
anyway.
you count his mom, but we don't want to go there.
Right. I'm sure I'm getting oogled by the ladies in the chat.
If
Namely,
they're already.
Rick and Timothy, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they sometimes act like ladies.
So, you're saying that basically Sony might as well just pack it in,
Yes, because
just go home.
Who's
They
going
don't
to
need
compete with
anything.
free Halo? Like,
Hmm.
what can you do? Best announcement E3
Is this
already.
some sort of a power play by Microsoft?
Yes.
Oh man, that's fantastic. I love that.
I do too.
I'm so sick and tired of companies like not addressing each other. Like I want to see companies being like throwing up middle fingers to their competition. You know?
They used to do that all the time, especially like Nintendo back when they were more competitive before they had that opinion of like, we're not competing with anybody, we're just Nintendo. But they used to be like really aggressive with Sega and vice versa. Or like when Naughty Dog was first on the market and they made Crash Bandicoot. Crash's commercials were
Yeah,
literally
when
the
Crash
dude
was
in
going
the,
around with a megaphone.
yeah, at the Nintendo of America headquarters. Like the 90s.
Well, you
were a
remember
wild
when
time.
Microsoft had that ridiculous thing where in order to like give a game to a friend, you had to like deregister it from your machine and then register it off the other person, all that stuff. And Sony was like, here's how you trade games. Here's
Yeah.
the game.
You know, the funny part about that is too, if you look at the patent stuff, both companies were planning to do that, but it's always like a game of chicken. Microsoft was dumb enough to come out with it first, so Sony's like, okay,
Yeah.
we don't even have to backpedal. We can just punish Microsoft for it. make them be the ones that have to backpedal.
Yeah, they saw what a terrible, terrible backlash there was, and they were just like, no, we're not going to do that.
I will say there have been some really big moves by game companies to kind of like just be the company, and I thought for sure it would work, and it didn't.
Yeah.
Like I thought it would like just completely just blow out the everybody else, and it just didn't. I don't understand it, dude. Like,
well, the problem
when
is the big
PlayStation came out with
competitors-
I forget which one it was, but it was a DVD player and a game and a radio, CD player.
Yeah.
I think that was the PS2 or something. I was like, why else? Why would you get anything other than that? But I don't know.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
Well, the problem is the three big competitors now on the console scene have so much ridiculous amounts of money that they can't, they'll just be like, okay, we lost this round. We'll try again in 7 years,
Oh yeah, like
You
Sony,
know?
Sony's been
It's
making
like-
losses for 5 years straight now, and it still just hasn't affected them as a company.
Yeah, neither does Microsoft isn't going to get affected. And Nintendo has like literally $100 billion in the bank. Like
Yeah, but they're also like 100-year-old
Yeah.
company or so. So they've been accruing
Yeah.
capital for a long time.
Exactly. So they're just like, we lost $1 billion this round. Oh well, try again next time. Whereas like Sega, back in the day, they just like flat out ran out of money. They were just like, we can't do this anymore. We just out of money.
Yeah,
But
we can
now,
continue the software, but we can't do the hardware anymore. That just costs too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, they're just like, we literally can't do this. But now the three big competitors are just like so huge, they just can't be permanently. They'd have to like lose like big time for like 10 or 15 years in a row.
I could see
Damn.
Sony knocking themselves out though, because as a company, they haven't been doing so good over the last like decade and a half. Like their games division's been doing great, their films division have been doing great, and their TVs still do great. Their cameras do okay, but they've been cutting divisions left and right over like the last decade. Like there are divisions of Sony
Yeah,
that just
but they're
don't
not-
exist anymore because of how much they were bleeding money.
Yeah, but there's like 0% chance that they're not going to come out with a PS6 in
Yeah,
6 or 7
but there's a
years or
good
whatever.
chance that they won't make it to maybe
going.
well, they'll probably make it a 7, but maybe not the 8 or 9, right? If they don't turn things around, they may not make it long enough to be at the 8 or 9.
Yeah, but I'll be like 60 by then, so.
Yeah, so why would we care?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll be in like 20, 25 years. So, not that big a deal.
I don't know.
But yeah,
I
this-
still plan on being around in 25 years.
I don't.
Well, I'm going to be around, but I don't.
Plan
I'm
on being
playing on
around
my
next year.
Nintendo
Play it by
new
ear.
Super Pro Switch Lite DS Wii U.
XL2.
Whatever the XL. Nintendo for life.
Yeah. Yeah, Sony is really good at acting like they didn't do anything and letting others take the fall. Even though most of these companies put out all their patent information ahead of time, and they're all planning to do the same things for the most part. Except for Nintendo. Nintendo is an oddball, and I think that's probably why they've been lasting so long. And then everybody kind of rips off Nintendo after a while.
Exactly. Yes, I probably will be still streaming Final Fantasy by the time I'm 60, I'm sure.
Well, if they keep adding more games, you're just never going to get through all of them,
Exactly.
Especially with this one that they just announced, Strangers in Paradise, which, it's so much better than what we went over the rumor, right? Because we were talking the rumors of Final Fantasy Origin, what was it, 2 weeks ago, whenever it came out. They were making it sound like like a Dark Souls, Ni no Kuni type of game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I looked at this trailer, it didn't look very Dark Souls to me. Maybe some of the environment a little bit, but it looked more like classic Devil May Cry. Like the combat was a lot faster. It reminded me of Devil May Cry combat. The aesthetic was more like the type of very isolated fortress type things, which you see in the Souls games, but it was very Devil May Cry to me. And it's basically, as far as I know, it takes place in World A, which for people who don't know that, that's Final Fantasy 1. And it seems to be kind of like maybe a retelling of 1. And you play this guy named Jack, who's got his 2 party members with him, which were the characters you were asking about.
Do you want me to just show the trailer while we're talking about it without any volume?
If you want, I don't care. I can
Might as well.
I thought you liked video games, Metal.
I do. I like talking about things though. But if he wants to have it in the background, he can for the sake of the audience. Just the people listening later won't be able to see it. That's really why I don't care if he does or not. The podcast people won't get to see this. It's only for watching it live.
Yeah.
But yes, you play as Jack and what were the other 2 people? Their names were right here.
Ash and
yeah, it was Ash
something.
And
Pikachu. Yeah, I was just gonna say Ash and Brock.
Jed. Ash and Jed.
Koei Tecmo.
Yep, Koei Tech. Well, it's because Team Ninja is the one doing it. You would know they do a lot of the Mosu games, as well as they do Final Fantasy Dissidia, which is probably why this game looks more like Devil May Cry, because Dissidia's combat was very similar to Devil May Cry, and this combat is very similar to Final Fantasy Dissidia, which I really liked the combat in Dissidia, so I'm probably going to play this game. And it's just like this open world-ish exploration. You're in the Shrine of Chaos the whole time, also known as the Temple of Fiends in some translations. Yeah, but it's way bigger than it is at the end of Final Fantasy 1. Like, this thing is like a Castlevania-sized Goliath of a structure.
Oh, I see. Wow, he just ripped that thing's mouth apart.
Yeah, it looked like a small behemoth. Which I guess
okay, now I understand.
Yeah,
now
there's
I understand that video. Now I get that video that you sent me.
Chaos!
What the hell is he wearing?
Yeah. Because it looks like they just stopped at a shopping mall, right? They have like just normal people clothes on, and that's Jack. I guess he's like the Warrior of Light. They did confirm that there'll be like other classes or jobs, as they call them in Final Fantasy. And honestly, my other name for it was Final Fantasy 1 Advent Children, because with the designs and the voice acting, it's like Cloud partnered up with Reno and Rude, pretty much. Like, I don't know who's playing him. It might be what's his face? The dude who voiced Axel in Kingdom Hearts. He was in a controversy recently because it sounds the same. Quentin Flynn, I think is his name.
Who looks? Now, supposedly, the demo is theoretically available,
but there's a download problem. The data's corrupted.
Yeah, there's some problem with it, so you can't. But this is another PS5 exclusive, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's basically going everywhere except the Nintendo Switch. It's been confirmed for PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC. It's just that PS5 owners will get to try it out today.
Oh. This is why they really need to come out with the Switch Pro. Because I bet the problem is the Switch is just not powerful. But the Switch
Holy
Pro
shit.
could be.
It startled me when he yelled, "Chaos!"
Wait, can you hear it?
No, I was the one who yelled chaos before.
Oh.
That's what startled me.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully I startled him again when I said that. He's just yelling chaos the whole time. I must kill chaos. It's not something I want to do.
It's hilarious.
Something I must.
I just think it's hilarious that he's wearing a shirt from LL Bean.
I know. It's like Final Fantasy 13 all over again when they were trying to make Lightning a fashion model for Louis Vuitton.
Oh my god. It's
I'm
like,
not gonna lie.
should we stop it? Yeah.
Normally these Final Fantasy outfits are super cringe, like if you were to see them in the real world. But I see this guy's
Yeah.
outfit in the Final Fantasy world, and I'm
Well-
cringing at the fact that it looks so plain.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Even his friends don't look so plain compared to him. He's just like that normal dude.
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't feel like getting dressed for work today.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
I love the design of
Like, why
Garland,
isn't
though.
he? Yeah. Why isn't he wearing like armor or something or anything? That's just hilarious.
Yeah.
Garland looks like the dude from Final Fantasy IV. What's his
Golbez?
name?
Well, I mean,
Golbez. He looks like Golbez.
well, that's because every Dark Knight wizard dude ever afterwards was based off of Garland's design from 1.
Yeah.
Like, he looks like the sprite from 1. He also kind of looks like how Garland's been redesigned for Dissidia since then. And everybody else just looks like Garland. Even the judges from 12 and Ivalice look like Garland. Like, everybody's armor is based off Garland.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so it is coming out for PC.
Mhm.
You said that.
Everything
But I'm
except
like,
for
yeah,
the Switch.
that's totally Golbez. That's hilarious.
Dude, in Dissidia,
Okay.
in Dissidia, Garland's sword turns into an axe. Like, the top of it mechanically shifts up and sideways, and it becomes like a pickaxe. And he just swings it around, and it also has like a wire chain. Like, Garland is a monster of a character. He's great. My problem is, I wonder how this is going to affect Final Fantasy, because the lore of Final Fantasy just keeps getting messier and messier the more they add, especially with Final Fantasy 1, because they're constantly contradicting themselves, even within the same game. Where the prophecy in 1 talks about 4 heroes of light, right? 4 warriors of light that go and reignite the crystals, or orbs, depending on the version of the game you're playing. And Dissidia even still talks about the prophecy. Originally, they say that Wall, or the Warrior of Light, is the one that was chosen. I guess he represents the fighter. But he acts as if he has all the classes. But also, they act as if he was the only one that matters. Like, there's a singular Warrior Light. Like, they're ripping off of Dragon Quest, or I guess Elric of Melniboné. Because Elric is the, like, avatar hero of his world, of his sphere. And most of this is post Sakaguchi, who's the guy who was the runner of Final Fantasy for years. He left in like 2003. And it just gets messier and messier. One of the things I like, though, is that this isn't pitting him as the singular hero. I think he's still supposed to be the Warrior of Light, but he's got a couple buddies with him at least.
Yeah. There should be 4. I mean,
Yeah, I know. Like,
absolutely
why is
no
there only
sense.
3? Maybe Princess Sarah joins you at one point in time, and she's the 4th one. You hear her voice when they approach Garland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you had it muted, so they couldn't hear it. But when they're approaching Garland in the that scene there, you hear like a flashback. There is this knight in brilliant armor who went missing. His name was Garland. It would please me very much if you could look for him. And then it turns out, Garland becomes chaos. He becomes the incarnation of chaos.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Don't spoil it for me.
Actually, I don't know what's
Spoiler-free.
going to be different, though, because
Yeah.
how old is the original Final Fantasy? 30 years or something like that? It was like crazy.
1986.
Yeah.
So 35 years.
Yeah, 35-year-old
years.
spoilers.
Yeah. I think 1986, maybe 87.
It's an old game.
Yeah.
I just like that he's
So-
chaos the whole time.
I didn't see that trailer until just now, and obviously I've not listened to it yet. But
Yeah.
I'll have to watch that. Did you watch the Square Enix presentation yesterday?
No, I only caught trailers afterwards because it was going on while we were playing our tabletop game.
Yeah. Well, I caught some of it, and some of it after, and a little bit during. But
I did see Marsupial posting updates to Twitter while we were playing our game.
Yeah.
And then I did actually. I might have fallen asleep for like a minute during the game, near the end. But I woke up to like complete silence. I was like, "Oh shit! Am I supposed to be talking? Are they waiting for me?" Yes, they were. You were waiting for me. But anyway, it was a long day. Apparently, Square Enix is now doing like all the Marvel things.
Not all. They had a contract for 6 Marvel games that was starting back in 2016, and most of them fell into the pipes. And the first one that they actually released was the Marvel Avengers game. So they still are on contract for 5 more games. One of them they just announced, which is the Guardians of the Galaxy. If they do well, they might do more games. Square has ties with Disney in general. They've owed Disney a lot of games. Kingdom Hearts has been on the Disney contract. Who knows what else they'll be doing. But it does look like they're stretching out further than just Square because their relationship is close but strained.
Yeah. Well, it seemed like 90%. I mean, I didn't see the whole presentation, but it seemed to me like, I don't know, 80%, 90% of the Square Enix presentation was Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. And then they announced Final Fantasy 1 through 6 remake or remaster. They called it Pixel Remaster. So it seemed, and I'll have to go back and look again, but it seemed like it was basically like in the original styles of 1 through 6.
Of each of them, or are they doing the PlayStation / Game Boy remasters?
I think of each. I think the original versions.
Okay, I would prefer that. I like Dawn of Souls, but I have nostalgia for the original version of Final Fantasy.
Okay, yeah. So this idiot, is complaining that it's like a downgrade. So good.
Yeah.
Because that means they're not going to use. So, it's only 30 seconds, but here, I'll show you.
I was hoping that we were going to get Octopath versions of it, especially after that Dragon Quest 3.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah. So, basically, I mean, look, I think it's going to be basically like HD classic remix of remasters of the originals, which is great. Because, yeah, I mean, see everything they're showing.
Yeah. And it's just
so
like
they're
a
not
single
showing
game that just contains them all, or are they releasing them independently?
Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, this is... yeah. So let me go back. So, yeah. Everything they're showing here. Okay, they say Origins Return and the Ultimate 2D Pixel Remaster.
Yeah. For some of these,
Epic Adventure.
All they got to do is basically multiply the scale of everything by like 2 or even 3 to make it clearer on a larger scale, and then take off the camera restrictions. Look how wide the menus. So they're basically redoing the menus. But for everything else, they just take off the camera restrictions because most of these things, they already had wider fields of view. But because of the limits of the TV, they would just have like a camera setting where you only show this much of the map at the time. But the map was always bleeding off the screen anyway.
So it's weird because some of it, like this is from the remake of the original. This isn't the original.
Yeah.
But that's Garland right there.
That is Garland.
So
that's of it. That's not even Dawn of Souls or Origin, because the fighter had like true blonde hair in that. He didn't have like brown.
Oh.
It could still be the same models. They're just recoloring. Maybe they're doing more true palettes or whatever. Yeah. There might be a lot of color changes in here that we don't know. I'd have to actually see.
There's Locke and Terra.
Yeah.
My 2 favorites. But yeah, here's Final Fantasy 4. Yeah. Here's Final Fantasy 4, and that looks kind of like the original. Sorta. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
I wouldn't
But it
mind if
seems
it
like
was
it's
the
gonna
Game Boy
be-
versions, just because the Game Boy versions have so much extra stuff in there.
5. Yeah, I mean it's hard to tell, but it seems like it's going to be somewhere in between the originals and like the later ones that kind of sucked, or at least the later version of 6.
The latest versions, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be the 3D versions of 3 and 4.
Oh, thank
So-
God.
That'll be cool. That'll be awesome because we've
There's-
never had the 2D version of Final Fantasy 3 in the United States. Right?
Anywhere outside of Japan.
Yeah. So that'll be awesome. I'll be interested to play that in the 2D version.
Yeah. I like how there were almost no classically Enix side of Square in the whole E3 presentation, because they just had the Dragon Quest 35. So it's like, we already got all the important Dragon Quest stuff out of the way to the people who actually care about Dragon Quest. We don't need to show it in E3.
Do you mind if I stop?
Yeah, you can stop. You didn't even have to show it in the first place, but thank you.
No. I wanted the people watching to see what we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a question.
Sketchbook says, when I get to Final Fantasy 7, am I going to do all the different versions before I move on to the next one? Different versions?
No.
Well,
No, you're not. You're going to play 7 and that's it. Just the answer. Well, because there's also the remake, which is a different version of 7. But then 7 also has a bunch of like sequel and prequel games as well, and you're just playing 7.
oh,
Like you might go back and do like sequels and stuff for other games afterwards, is what you said. You just weren't going to be doing it when you're playing them in order.
yeah. Well, you're talking about like, what do they call Final Fantasy 7?
Well, there's Crisis
Was it-
Core, there's Dirge of Cerberus, there's Pre-Crisis.
Are those
there's all
different?
that. They're different games.
Those are different games, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like spin-offs?
And then there's also the remakes, is what he was talking about, for different versions. Like, you don't even own the console to play the remakes on.
Has there been a remake of Final Fantasy 7?
Yes, that's the one we keep complaining about all the time.
Oh. No, I'm not playing that.
Yeah.
No way. I'm never playing that game. That looks like shit. No. No, I'm not going to play Final Fantasy 7 remake. I thought maybe he was talking about some other version from before.
No, there's only been the
I'm
one.
not-
Just the one. That's all there has ever been.
Yeah.
Even the PC version is... It's the original PC port, which actually all other versions are the original PC port because they don't have the PlayStation version anymore. Like it's not available for them to port over.
I might not even play Final Fantasy X2 because I played that for 5 minutes and I'm like, what the hell is this?
Just dress up Barbie with guns.
Exactly. Would I ever? I have. I've streamed it.
Yeah.
Sketchbook. I've played Final Fantasy 14. I've not played 11. I certainly would be willing to try it, but I've actually streamed 14. So
Yeah.
check out my Twitch channel.
Now, there's a good announcement from Way Forward that happened. Dillard, you might be interested in this. You like beat 'em up games, right? Trying to make one yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do actually.
One of my absolute favorite beat 'em up series that I kind of just fell into, I guess, limbo for years is Kunio-kun, or known in the West as River City, the original being River City Ransom. You would know the spin-off game of River City Ransom, Double Dragons, which takes place in the same world. Actually, in the same city. And the most recent version was River City Girls, which kind of flips the script. Kunio and... God, I'm trying to remember his friend's name. Where's it? Riki, that was his name. Kunio and Riki get kidnapped because they got in some trouble with the mob themselves, like the Yakuza, and they kind of got beat up. And their girlfriends, who didn't get kidnapped this time because they were in detention, have to go and like rescue them. So you're like leveling up and going through the world. So you're playing as Kyoko and Misako. Very fun game. You've probably even seen like an animation from it before, because I would use the Kyoko's dab, the death by dab image a lot. It's that redhead girl who like kills the people by dabbing. And they announced the sequel to it. So there's going to be both a River City Girls 2 and River City Girls 0. If you probably actually get to start with Kunio and Riki at this point, because you saved them at the end and they became playable characters. I don't know why they're still going with the River City Girls name. They should have just given them other names like River City Blank, like the previous ones did. But I'm excited. I love the River City franchise. Really fun.
Yeah.
Is there any imagery from it that's available to look at?
For the new one, they
doesn't
only
appear to
have
be-
a title poster. They don't actually have anything else.
Yeah, I don't see any video. I don't think that they.
It's just an announcement that they're working on it.
Yeah.
It's the one that's called River City Ransom Underground?
No, it's River City Girls. Is the name of it?
That's the name of the new one?
Is that what they said? Because I all I see is River City Girls 2 is the name of the new one.
Yep. And River City Girls 0.
Which I'm assuming 0 leads up to the events of 1. I think that's a safe assumption.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't actually find anything on YouTube, like video of it.
It
I
was
think
when
they showed
Atlas
some
was doing
gameplay.
stuff, so it was just it was a quick announcement.
Yeah. But is it being done by WayForward?
Yes, it's still way forward.
Okay. Yeah, that's one of my favorite game developers.
And the Kunio-kun franchise is actually one of the most influential beat-em-up franchises. Maybe even more influential than, like, most other ones you could think of. Streets of Rage, Fatal Fury, any of them. Because most other future ones have taken mechanics from it. It's one of the longest-running ones. And again, Double Dragon was a spin-off game of Kunio-kun. And it was the first one to introduce leveling as a mechanic in the games. Including Double Dragons, you actually did have to level up to unlock moves. You just weren't, most people weren't cognitively aware that there was leveling in Double Dragon.
Yeah, that's funny because I don't remember if I was aware of it or not. But like I remember doing the moves, like the back elbow is like one of the most powerful moves, but you can't get it until you get to the top level. And I remember using that move as a kid, but I don't remember if I knew that you had to love. I must have figured that out at some point.
I think most people
But it's
just
been so long.
intuited it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like all the games,
you
it
just
will
kinda-
still have 2-player online co-op. River City Girls did years ago, but the last one that was made before they picked it back up with girls was like for the PS3 or whatever, also had online co-op. So since it's been an option, they've been doing that, and it's glad that they're reinforced. Like, yes, a lot of you guys are stuck at home. You can still play this beat 'em up co-op over the internet.
Cool.
Fully voice acted too. I like it. Very
Yeah.
funny. The script is funny. They have a lot of these moments where they have some slightly animated scenes, but what they do is like I don't know if you guys have ever seen Fooly Cooley. You ever see Fooly Cooley?
Yes.
Yeah, and you know how in Fooly Cooley they have like the scenes that look like they're reading the manga, but like the panels are animated and stuff. They've got stuff like that in River City Girls, and it has a full like anime intro to it as well when you start up the game that you can skip, obviously, but for the first time you play, you kind of want to watch through it because it's like you're playing a show. and then you're going and beating the shit out of everybody. It's really fun.
By the way, I have an update on an earlier story we talked about.
Oh, which story did we talk about?
The Final Fantasy one that we just talked about. They are releasing the 6 games individually one at a time.
Oh, okay. So I have to go buy them again on Steam?
I know.
Wait
right?
till the bundle's on sale.
I'm pretty sure I've bought all of them on iOS, whatever version was on that. So
they should just upgrade the ones they already own, right? Like, you know,
I know,
companies
right?
like when they came out with Skyrim, their special edition. If you already own Skyrim, they're like, here you go, you can have it for free. They should do that. It's like, you already own all of these, just take them, except for 3, obviously, because well, I do own 3, just a different version of 3.
Well, you want to hear some bullshit that Square pulled? So, like, when they originally came out with the Final Fantasy 3, I bought it, I think on my iPhone, maybe?
Yeah.
And then I went to, and then I think maybe it was before I even had an iPad, and then I bought an iPad, and there was a different version for the iPad, and I had to buy it again if I wanted to play it on the iPad.
Oh, that's dumb.
Oh my god, it was such bullshit. I think they've since merged them into just one version. But for years, there were 2 versions of Final Fantasy 3 available on the iOS store. It pissed me off. Because I didn't pay for it twice, but yeah, Square Enix doesn't give anything away for free. If you look now, I'm pretty sure like all these versions of Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest, for that matter, are like $15.
Yeah,
on iOS. I'm like, what, are you kidding me?
Square almost never price drops their games when they're digital, unless the game is selling so bad that they have to price drop it physically. Then they'll drop the digital to match. Like, after Zodiac Age, 12 came out for Switch, and it was doing much better. Nobody was buying the PlayStation version. They dropped even physical copies of it down to like $15. Like, this was a $60 game.
Wow. Yeah, well, I guess the iOS versions are selling fine because they haven't dropped the prices of those in like 10 years, so, or they just don't care. Plus, and I looked into this because ever since realizing I could use a controller with Fantasian, you can't use a controller with Dragon Quest 4, 5, and 6 on iOS. Stupid.
I use a controller with anything on my computer.
I know.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to play the DS versions of those, I guess. Anyway, they announced the release date for Diablo 2 Resurrected.
Oh God.
Gonna
the release
be
date should
September.
just be like the end of the world.
Yeah, September 23rd, and it's also not only that, but it's coming out on everything: PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna play it.
You're gonna have to like hold me back from buying it.
You saw what they did to the Amazon.
I
What else do you think
know,
they've done to the game? I mean, come on, use your senses, man.
I know, but it's such a good game. I
Just
love
play
it
the
so much.
original again. It's still available. It's not like it's in
have it.
availability limbo. Just go back and play through the original version of Diablo 2.
I know.
Guarantee you it's a better game.
It's gonna be so tempting, though. Anyway,
Yes, that is Timothy. That is a remake of Diablo 2.
yeah. So tempting. I'll try not to get it. I'll try. I do have Diablo 2 installed, in fact, and I have actually played it just on my own fairly recently.
It's a good game.
It's one of my favorites. It was. Timothy's right. It was perfect the first time. Diablo 2 is one of my all-time favorites.
And I think Diablo 1 was. Diablo 2 was just an example of a perfect upgrade, like a flawless sequel. It did everything right and then some.
Yeah. I mean, it was, I guess, one of those. Well, I mean, video games don't always follow the same pattern as like movies. Like movies, it's really rare for a sequel to be as good as the first or better. With video games, a lot of times the sequel is better than the
Oh,
first.
like Kingdom Hearts 2. Kingdom Hearts 2,
Yeah.
like just perfected the formula of the first game in every way. It's a
Yeah.
much better game.
And I loved Diablo at the time, Diablo 1, but I can't, I've tried playing it and it's just like, it hasn't aged very well. But Diablo 2 is just like, it was just, oh, fantastic. And it has aged pretty well, actually, so. The sketchbook saying you're just, poor Dillard is just sitting there, has nothing to add.
No, I mean the thing is, I mean this is a very big deal for you guys. I don't want to interrupt with my nonsense.
That's all right.
Plus, he comes out to hang while he works on stuff, so if he doesn't have anything
Yeah,
particular to add, it gives him time to still work on whatever he's doing.
I'm working
Yeah.
on stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Among Us expanded to 15-player lobbies.
Yeah,
Or does
I
expand.
saw that.
Tomorrow. So, my little group asked if I could play tomorrow, but with the
Ugh.
upgrade, and I said, well, I could play for a little while before the Vomitorium, and I guess
Yeah,
after
yeah.
if you're still playing. I told them I'm going to be here from 8 to 9.
I mean, if you always need to take a weekday off, that's no problem. But, I mean, would you rather be
For
playing
Among Us?
Among Us than here? I mean, come on.
No, I wouldn't. Kind of regretting. I mean, no, I mean, all the people in that group are really cool,
Yeah.
but it's not that great a game.
No.
One of those games where it was novel for the first hour, and now I'm kind of sick of it. But.
Yeah, I wish they would have just done what they said they were going to do and make an Among Us 2. Where they were going to add a bunch of stuff. But instead, they're like, oh, well, everybody's picking up this game. Let's just try to add features to it. They haven't really added anything to make the game more interesting than the original version. They should just make a sequel.
So did you see the Redfall trailer?
No. Redfall. What is that?
I think it was called Redfall. It's like the thing that everyone was talking about with the Bethesda showcase.
Then I
It was
probably
at the
saw
very
it. Because I did see all of the Bethesda.
it was the one
Microsoft
at the very end where there were vampires. My problem,
Okay.
there was the really, frankly, racistly stereotypical black girl. I hate that. Like, why do they have such? Why are they? It's always stereotyped. It's so sickening. And kind of a cool-looking dude that had a lot of guns. And then they're fighting vampires. They didn't show any gameplay. It was driving me nuts. I was like, oh, we're not going to show any gameplay. It was just like a cutscene. It's like, is this entire game nothing but a cutscene? Or nothing but cutscenes?
That's probably why I don't remember it that well. Like, I'm looking at images and I vaguely remember this. Because I was watching
People were
all
going-
of the Microsoft and Bethesda stuff while I was setting up for the show yesterday. And it was over before we had to start, so I caught everything in there. There was some good trailers and stuff there. It wasn't, I saw Halo, obviously. I wasn't
Well, she has-
unimpressed by it.
To answer Timothy's question, she had huge hair, like 70s hair. She was
Earrings that were
vaguely
like
pretty much
bracelets.
Yeah, she seemed like always like just what Timothy said, like constantly mad at whatever, at everything, just always annoyed. And they just showed a bunch of like this big fight with vampires, but I was like, is any of this actually gameplay? Because it didn't look like it, and I was like, okay, I already hate this game because they didn't even show any gameplay.
Yeah, I was
I
reading
don't
too
even
that they had
understand.
apparently had to come out and confirm that it wasn't Elder Scrolls 6, because a lot of people are like, is Redfall the next Elder Scrolls? It's like, no.
Like, it's just like, you know, I can't believe the state of video games now, where it's just like, you're just sitting there watching. It's like, it is a movie. Is this a movie? In fact, the entire presentation, I thought the Bethesda presentation was just disappointing. And I saw other people saying, well, Bethesda's coming out with some really nice movies. I wonder if they're going to come out with games.
I thought it was disappointing too. Like, on the whole, Microsoft's presentation,
burn, bro.
Yeah, on the whole, Microsoft's presentation was pretty good, but the Bethesda part was just a waste of time.
Yeah. I was like, I wouldn't. And they're also generic. I just like, is anybody going to remember any of these games in like 2 or 3 years from now? Like, they all just seem so generic. And just like, oh, a bunch of Twitch streamers are going to stream them for like 2 weeks. And then you'll never hear about them again. Because they're crap.
Well, I think people remember how bad Fallout 76 is for years to come. Which they did. Yeah. They added more to that. That was like a good third of the Bethesda presentation was just talking about the stuff they added to 76. Like, does anybody even play this game?
Seriously. Oh, and then I love the people on the idiots on Twitter, like, oh, they're still using the creation engine. I'm like, yeah,
we've been over this before.
Always, yeah. Like, they always will. Don't be surprised that they're going to.
Because we could break it down. Right. They don't tell you the version number of creation. For all we know, they could be on Creation Engine patch 6.0.2.35 for all we know, right? We know Unreal, but if we wanted to take the number off it, we could say, well, everybody's still using the Unreal Engine.
Yeah. Well, plus, actually, because I was so annoyed about this, I looked up either yesterday or the day before. I guess it was yesterday. They actually Bethesda announced back in like November 2020 that they had like quintupled their engine team. Like, they had 5 times as many people as they had like only like a year earlier working only on their engine. So, I mean, clearly they're taking it seriously and hopefully improving it. But that doesn't change the fact that I hated the presentation.
I don't think Creation Engine is a good engine, just to be honest. Not any complaints about the fact that they're still using it. I don't think they've done a good job of updating it and upgrading it over the years. And I've pointed out really big issues with it before. It is very liable to spaghetti code, even if you're doing things right, because they've got things that mash like variables and inputs with each other that really shouldn't. But they have a company that's really good at making their own engines and updating engines over time. As a subsidiary, they just need to pull some of the id Software guys over and be like, hey, help us pump this engine to the max, like help us fix the problems with it, and then it could be a great engine, because they do make good games for it. But every game they make is liable to errors, no matter how much time they put into bug fixing it.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. That's a fair criticism. But to be like, oh, they're still using that, and they always will be, so just suck it up.
It's just the name of their engine.
But it certainly could be improved, and hopefully they are. I mean, like I said, apparently they are. Hi, Rebellious, how's it going? So hopefully they will improve it. I did see also. Oh, never mind. I was thinking of something else. I lost my train of thought. But so I do hate it when people criticize companies for using "quote unquote" the same engine they have been for 10 or 20 years.
I think it's just because they don't understand how engines work. Like modern game engines.
Yeah.
Because back in the day with assembly, you were basically making an engine for the game every single time you make a game. I mean, to some degree, the engine was the system it was running on, and you were just making a game that runs on the system with assembly. Now, though, since we can make games directly on computers and then just port them digitally as an ISO or whatever onto a disc or into the game, you need an engine basically to run the game through, and depending on what you do during that assembly process, it depends on what engine you want. And Nintendo still makes their own engine, not for every game, but usually for every type of game on that generation of system. And people look at that and like, well, why aren't they just making new engines? It's like, well, if what they have as a base works and you can just improve the base, why reinvent the wheel over and over again, spend even longer in development when you can just keep upgrading your foundation, right? We can just keep upgrading the foundation that things are on and just build the building on top of it.
Well, Nintendo built their own engine for Breath of the Wild, and that took like 7 years.
Yeah.
I think. Which they're reusing. And you know what? I really suspect they may be using the same engine for the Pokemon Arceus game. Arceus, whatever it's called.
Yeah, probably.
I've looked at that trailer again, and I'm like, that's the Breath of the Wild engine. I am almost certain. I mean, it may not. I mean, probably has tweaks, and it may not have all of the physics, or might, but it looks exactly like the Breath of the Wild engine, for lack of a better word. So, yeah, I'm sure they're reusing it for other things.
I know this was a big problem for Nintendo, though. Like, look at how long it started taking development on games once we hit the digital formatting of the GameCube and on. They used to pump out games yearly, bi-yearly, depending on what the game was, back when they were doing everything through assembly. And then as soon as we hit digital, there are like just entire families of game where you don't see the next one for maybe 4 years. And part of that has to do with Nintendo wasn't used to having to create an engine for each game. They were just assembling the game together. And it had to change like everything for the company. While a lot of other companies, especially the ones coming over to the PlayStation and the Xbox, some of them were already making PC games, and they were used to doing things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just pointless to recreate this stuff from scratch. When you've already got an engine, it gives you, physics and collisions and most of the stuff, most of just the interactivity that you need. It's just, orders of magnitude cheaper to just continually update the engine and then just build games off of it.
Or to use somebody else's, like most people do with the Unreal Engine these days. Or have been.
Right.
We've been doing Unreal Engine since like 2006 at this point.
I can't even imagine an indie developer building a game from scratch without using some sort of game engine.
Yeah.
Almost every developer does. FNAF, which we didn't get to talk about, I wanted to, but maybe we can talk about it
the
tomorrow.
Scott Cawthon. We can talk about that tomorrow if you want. We could schedule that on the docket. Yeah.
Yeah. But FNAF was built using, what's it called? Fusion or something? It's a game engine.
It's Fusion.
Fusion.
A lot of things are made with Game Studio, RPG Maker. Almost everybody uses some type of pre-built engine at this point in time.
Yeah, Stardew Valley is made with Game Maker, right? I think Game Maker Studio, something.
No,
maybe
we went over.
But
we went over this. It's the Microsoft XMS or whatever it's called.
Oh,
we've talked about this many times. Yeah.
That's interestingly, that's actually a framework. That's not really a game engine.
No, but it's made with the Microsoft XMS framework. So basically, if you can actually use that framework to do things like how they used to make things through assembly for the cartridge and stuff. It's kind of a similar process to that.
That's today about as close as you're going to get to building an engine yourself from scratch.
Yeah.
But he did it the hard way. Interestingly, most companies don't do that, but he did it the hard way.
He's done everything the hard way, and look how good of a game he's made.
Yeah.
And Concerned Ape is a beast.
But yeah, most games use some sort of, and I mean, oh my God, I've actually perused the Switch for like RPGs, and I'm like RPG Maker. I could tell, like there are just dozens and dozens, and probably different versions of RPG Maker.
I want to make an RPG. There's just so many assets that can make an RPG.
Yeah, but I'm looking at these and I'm like, oh my gosh, so many RPG Maker games. I can tell. Pretty funny.
I want to make a Paper Mario style RPG for the most part, or like a Super Mario RPG, except Paper Mario. This is probably the last note that we say before we end off. Was originally supposed to be a sequel. It was supposed to be Super Mario RPG 2, but because they weren't working with Square anymore and a lot of the rights were bundled up with Square, they basically just reformatted it into a whole new game.
Yeah. And did we determine Octopath Traveler was made with Unreal?
Yeah. It says it when you start up the game.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I almost, it made me want to, made me think maybe if we do an RPG, we should use Unreal Engine instead.
Maybe.
Anyway.
But that's it for the show. Thank you guys for watching, and then thank you guys for coming on. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with somebody else who might enjoy it. And if you really like it, consider giving a donation to streamlabs.com/Vomitorium Live. Every penny counts. Well, maybe not a penny because fees and taxes, you won't even make it there, but a buck or two here and there is pretty good. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.